Rule of law, human rights, and freedom are the bedrock of any vibrant and thriving democracy. So, what happens when the police, the frontline institution vested with the responsibility of protecting and preserving people's rights, is alleged to have manhandled and tortured the former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the 2023 presidential elections, Omoyele Sowore? This allegation has, of course, been vehemently denied by the Nigerian police, which claims strongly, too, that it was guided by the 2017 Anti-Torture Act and that Sowore's claims are false. Publisher of Sahara Reporters and Revolution Now convener Omoyele Sowore joins us live on Arise Prime Time. Omoyele, glad to have you join us.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Telecast TV. I'm Miracle Angala. You're watching a conversation with the candidate of the African Action Congress in the 2023 presidential election, Omoyele Sowore, who was arrested by the police. And he claimed that he doesn't have any personal grudges with them. Endeavor to watch to the end. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Subscribe, like, comment, and share your thoughts. Don't miss trending videos.
Thank you for having me.
I see that you're having something of a sling on your hand.
Yes.
One can say, sorry about that.
Thank you.
How's the pain?
Well, it comes with the territory of...
Someone once asked me why Sowore is always having an altercation with the police. Police claim you have a personal vendetta with them. Can you answer that question?
No, I don't have a personal vendetta against the police. As a matter of fact, a week before, before then, I was protesting at the police headquarters on behalf of serving and retired policemen, so they can get better retirement benefits and pension, and for serving policemen to get better pay. So if I hate them, why would I risk my time, my energy and resources and go to their headquarters to fight for the same people? I think I have a problem with impunity, and I've always had that for the last 3 decades. And it didn't matter whether it was the police, the DSS, army, anybody who is saddled with the responsibility of protecting lives and property. If they violate other people's rights, I come in and stand against them. So that's been known about my trajectory as an activist in this country. So in 2019, it wasn't the police, it was the DSS. They abducted me from a hotel that was in August, sadly, in Lagos, flew me to Abuja, detained me for 5 months. The day I was released on bail, they came back to court the next day and abducted me in front of a judge. So I've been through this. The same police sent a police female to shoot me on my thigh with a riot gun. My nose was broken by police in 2021. But what is important is to understand that I've been targeted over these years.
By who?
By security agencies.
Why?
Well, because of my work as a right activist who is opposed to impunity, who is opposed to torture, I've been a victim of torture almost my entire life. And it's unbelievable that in 2025, I would find the same police that tortured me years ago when I was a university student, still in place with all the paraphernalia of torture still intact. And there's a police unit or police organization that is funded by organizations in Europe, at the United Nations, who make it a condition that torture should never happen when somebody is detained, even if the person has committed a crime of murder or kidnapping, whatever you call it. You cannot torture anybody, whether it's in custody or out of custody. They carry this out and they know it. I indicated to them what happened. I even, as of yesterday, brought out the face of the officer who led the invasion of my cell at 6 a.m. on Thursday and had me rough-handed, tortured me in detention. There was also a detainee who was there. So this was witnessed by not just myself, but several other persons.
Okay, let's get down to this particular incident.
Yes.
That you claim the police broke your hand in detention. You claim You were arrested. They are saying that you were arrested based on criminal offenses like forgery and cyber stalking. That's what the police are saying. Well, according to the allegation. So I'd ask you, what did you forge and who are you cyber
That's the
stalking?
question you should have asked them.
Well, I have you here now.
Yes.
I'll probably
I was
I
was the one who volunteered myself when they invited me to come to answer to certain allegations. And when I got there, I asked to see the petition. I requested to see the petition before I went, but they said they can't provide. They'll provide them upon arrival. And I asked when I arrived there, where the petition? They brought out a police wireless document that they claim was forged. When we asked them for the original, it was the same, except that on the wireless document that the claim was forged, there was the word panic written over it in grunge red letter. That was what they were claiming to be forgery. The content of what they claimed was forged and the so-called forged document was the same. The second was a letter. Both allegations came from the IGP's office, the admin office of the IGP. That was where these two allegations came from. The second was the PSO3 to the IGP wrote a petition that Sahara reporters, not me, wrote a story that she's the IGP's mistress. And I said, this is ludicrous. I've never heard this before. If the allegation is against Sahara reporters, why don't
Sahara reporters is an entity. So
it's a separate entity
from you.
Yes.
I mean, by law.
Exactly. So why don't you go and arrest Sahara reporters? Why don't you look for Sahara reporters? Sahara reporters is a separate entity, it's a legal entity. It is known worldwide. Sahara reporters has been sued in different jurisdictions across the world. Why do you have to bring me in to answer for Sahara reporters? Of course, at that point, they lost it. And that was the point at which they decided that I should write a statement. And I declined, which is my right. If you're asked to write a statement in a police station, you can decide to write it or not. You can elect not to write a statement. It doesn't, it's your right.
Something akin to the Second Amendment that you have.
You have a right to write or not write a statement.
Okay.
But in this case, they had a camera rolling on the corner. So I said, take that to be my electronic statement. Go and transcribe it and go and file it in court. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there was no basis for arrest. When I'm not a flight risk in this country, then these were not even crimes. These were, at best, the only one they could claim was forgery was their wireless. But it wasn't forged. It was the same document. The second one was a civil offense. Somebody libeled you, go to court.
All right.
So
well,
there was no basis. And it's important for people to understand, for the sake of Nigerians and understand their right, that police officers, by virtue of the Police Act, are not allowed to use the police to fight for their own personal interest. So if you are the IGP of police or whomever you are in the police, you cannot say because somebody offended you personally, especially in a civil offense, then you go and detain the person and say, oh, otherwise every landlord, landlady, everybody will be in detention because I'm sure everybody has said something to the police officer on the street that they don't want to hear. So it was completely a violation of even the Police Act. It was pure impunity on their part. And when they realized that that wouldn't work, guess what they did? On the second day, they went and got some other lawyers to write 3 other petitions.
Against you?
Against me, and brought them to me in detention. At that point, the pressure had been too much on them. I just waved it aside. I said, you guys are not serious. And that was the end of those petitions. I never read them. I never responded to them.
Well,
because I know they were just fishing for something.
For something?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
They're always after me because they know I'm against impunity, I'm against corruption, I'm against incompetence. Don't forget, the same IGP had seized my passport as far back as January. He's still in possession of it. For cybercrime, that I called him illegal IGP. He got me arrested. He got me detained for 4 days.
They're always linking you with cybercrime.
Yes, actually.
So somebody
because
said,
that's the new tool they have.
There's no smoke without fire.
Yes.
But so why are you always being linked with cybercrime?
Yeah, because I'm a cyber citizen. I agree. I'm a digital person. I'm a digital citizen. So anything, look, some of these politicians or Nigerian officials used to think that anything that's on the internet, I put it there. Anything against them on the internet. They've called me, several of them have called me and said, they say you wrote something against me. And when I was listening to me, it would be done by someone else. Oh, we thought Sowore puts everything anti-government on the internet. So it's understandable.
All right.
But this is meant to silence me.
I say that's sleeping and dreaming Sowore.
I think they do so, yeah.
All right. Well, the police complied with the law in releasing you within 48 hours, according to Section 35(4) of the 1999 Constitution. While investigation is still on, you're free, you're released. Is the force taking you to court? What's your next action? Are you taking the police to court?
We filed a fundamental rights enforcement lawsuit against them. They also have filed charges. They've served 2 charges. Interestingly, the charges had nothing to do with what I was arrested for, except the forgery part. And then they said they accused me of another cybercrime offense. I didn't even have to read it. So today they did call my shorty, the person who stood shorty for me, avoided me. They called the person and said, "Oh, you're supposed to be in court." So I told the shorty, tell them to call me. They know how to reach me. So we're ready whenever they're ready. We'll probably go to court tomorrow if they have
if they're ready for you.
If the cases are signed, yes.
Well, the police, contrary to your claim that your hand was broken,
yes,
says you were neither tortured nor subjected to any inhuman or degrading treatment while in custody. Is your word against theirs?
It's not my word against them. This is why...
I mean, is your word against theirs?
No, it's not. It is that there are witnesses. And I'm sure that they must have cameras in some of those places. That is, there'll be a camera on the corridor. Maybe they disabled it before they went in there, where I was detained. You know, when it came in, 8 of them came into the cell to attack me. There was a camera. There was a guy who was on duty. They have an incident. So that's why the independent inquiry is needed. You can't just take their word for it. They're lying. They know that what they did was wrong, and they shouldn't have done this, because the interesting thing about Nigerian police is that they get funding from organizations like the European Union, the United Nations, I think they call them UNODOC, and those people have made it clear that under no circumstance should the Nigerian police, notorious for torture, would engage in torture. But what is interesting, and how you would understand how some of these things panned out, was that the guy who led my interrogation was former SARS in Port Harcourt, like in Fakorede. So it is their mentality to force people, to attack people, to torture people. That was what led to SARS. That was what led to end SARS in this country.
I mean, that's your word. I mean, that's what you're saying.
I'm telling you, I told him to his face, I said, look, it is this same mentality that led us to end SARS, and you're doing this again.
You said that to his face?
I said it to his face. And I presented in public the officer who led the 7 other officers into my cell at 6 a.m. under the pretext that they're taking me to court. And the simple question I asked, which courtroom in Nigeria is open at 6 a.m.? Because wherever we are in Abuja, which was around the police headquarters, was not, there can't be any courtroom even if you are going to Zuba, it's more than 20 minutes away. So why can't we wait? The courts open at 9 a.m. If you come at 8, I can understand, but 6 a.m.? So there was a part of me that was thinking, hey, maybe this is another Steve Biko situation with the way they pounced on me, Because anything could have happened. They could have broken my spinal cord. They could have killed me and claimed that nothing happened.
Was that when the incident happened?
Yes.
Even though the police are claiming that I think that they're saying that because there was a bandage in your hand.
Yeah.
And they're saying I think the report is that you came in with a bandage, and I think
so
wanted an investigation about that.
No, they actually investigated and found out I didn't have a bandage in my bag. Everybody knew, anytime I'm invited by the police, I carry a bag and it contains toiletries, clothes, extra.
Because you think...
Because I already know that, I'm a sleepover, so I have a sleepover bag. But what they normally do, and this is the Nigerian police, as bad as they are, they will search you and ensure that you are stripped of everything before you are pushed into the cell, including your shoes. If you have a belt. So they searched that bag 3 times. They took an inventory of whatever was in the bag. If there was a bandage, they would have shown it to the public. So it was after they injured me that I arranged for a bandage and some other treatment. I had to treat myself. And when they came to me and said they were investigating, they were not interested in investigating the injury. They were investigating how was it that Sowore was able to get the photograph of his bandaged hand to the public. That was what was their interest. When they brought a doctor and I said, you can't break my hand and bring your own doctor to treat me. I have my own private doctor.
How did it happen? I mean, did they use something?
No,
according to...
They carried me in, they were banging because they said I must follow them to court. And I said, no. I insisted I want to see the charges and also that I should be allowed to contact my lawyer because I'm entitled to legal representation.
So it was during
the
scuffle
that my hand was twisted backwards and it was injured. So they did it. It was done by two policemen in uniform. They were all armed, but the guy who led them was not in uniform. It was a mufti. They said he was a CSP. I've already put his photo out. Everybody knows who he is. So they know who did it. They know who they sent. And they know the instruction they gave the guy when they said, go to Sowore's cell and go and show him Pepe.
Okay, well, the police are also claiming that your detention is not... We'll get back to the question of that IGP investigating and, of course, trying to treat you. But police claim that your detention is not arbitrary, as it was anchored in a valid remand order issued by a competent court.
So what happened to the remand order when they released me? They showed me a remand order on the day of my arrest, after they signed the detention order. And I asked to see, they refused to let me see. They said it was issued by a magistrate court. So the day they were about to release me, they brought back the same remand order and then gave it to my lawyer. And we told them outrightly that you already know that this is a federal offense. I'm talking about cybercrime, because the remand order was obtained on the basis of cybercrime. So if you have already filed charges, the remand order cannot stand. And we know what they do. They have all these magistrates. In fact, the Nigerian Police have the remand orders in their offices whenever they want to illegally jail somebody. They'll sign it themselves. Or they'll find a magistrate, or they can drive to the home of drive a magistrate down. This is the kind of impunity that's been prevalent within the police and the judiciary, especially in the FCT and Lagos State. There was a time they used to go to Nasarawa to get remand order nationwide. The magistrate has now been kicked out, where they get remand order and go and jail you for 14 days. So the remand order they showed us was I was supposed to be in detention till the 16th. And we asked them, so on what basis is Sowore supposed to be in detention till the 16th of August? What are you investigating? You are investigating a petition that you already have determined the outcome of. You already know who wrote the petition. You already know what to do. So it was at that point that they said, okay, if that's what you feel, we're going to grant you bail. That was Friday about 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. And that was the end of the scandal.
All right, well, there's this talk about your refusing on 2 occasions to undergo a medical examination by the independent teams he deployed for that.
The word independent is what is missing. They brought 2 people they claimed were police doctors. They were not independent. I cannot subject myself to a treatment by my adversary. Are you getting my point? Even during the period of war, there is always an independent party that gets involved with treating people they call prisoners of war, POWs. And it could be the Red Cross or the International Red Cross. But in this case, I don't even know if the people they brought are policemen. Maybe they are doctors. I did ask the last group that came, I said, how do you partake in this rubbish? Are you not supposed to be medical doctors? Somebody said it's tortured. I told them the first day when I was written in pen that I have a doctor in Abuja I could call. Just give me my phone. Let me call the person. It is different if you accompany my doctor with your own doctor. But in this case, you keep bringing the same people that caused me harm. I mean, does that even make sense in the first place? So for them to claim that they brought independent doctors is something that you now understand what they were trying to play games, because they want it to be on record that they tried to give me medical treatment and that I refused that. And it is true, I did refuse because I know they weren't providing medical treatment.
Did you ask for your own?
Yes, I did. I did immediately.
And they declined?
They declined. They kept bringing their own doctors.
What was their reason for declining?
They didn't say the reason for their declining. In fact, last time I asked for a doctor, they went and brought media. You know, they brought a whole horde of media people into the place where I was waiting for a doctor. And they wanted to start another circus. And I shut it down immediately, and then they left.
What do you make of the fact that police are accusing you of what they call disinformation and always manipulating public narratives and weaponizing propaganda to malign state institutions and their leadership, especially the office of the IGP?
So what is maligning the IGP about saying you have retired, leave? How's that malicious? The same thing applies to customs. The same thing applies to immigration. In the case of customs, it's even terrible because the person who is supposed to be the new custom leader is a female from the southeast. You don't want her to become the CG of customs, so you extend the tenure of the Yoruba man there. I'm not playing ethnicity, but that's how they think, and we must tell the truth to the public. In the case of immigration, it's the same thing. When people finish their tenure in uniform, you let them go. If you are so interested in that particular person, you can find another alternative position for them somewhere else. Are you getting my point? There was a time in this country, even though it was laughable, General Kotangora left the army, and when I think it was Babangida or was it Abacha who needed him to work again, he made him the vice chancellor of ABU. So there are a lot of positions in the country where you can put your cronies, but you should not mess with public institutions that are sacred to our security in this country by extending tenures or putting people there who have no intention to retire, when exactly it is clear that when people reach 35 years in office or they've reached the age of 60, they are supposed to leave the uniform. They are supposed to stop wearing the uniform. In fact, if you were to find somebody else wearing a uniform outside after they have retired, you arrest them and you prosecute them because that's a crime.
Well,
impersonation.
Let's briefly talk about your lawyer. Something I read. Your lawyer, Temoku, that's your lawyer, right?
Yes.
Requested the police reissue the initial summons for a clear legal basis and disclosure of the allegations. Did the police provide a copy of the allegations? And did they eventually do what he was asking?
What happened was that the initial invitation, which was sent a week before, was what they call inciting disturbance.
Okay.
And they said my invitation was anchored on the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. ACJA 2025. So we wrote them back that there's no ACJA 2025. And there's no law known as inciting public disturbance. And that tells you the desperation this was all about. So just to let them correct themselves, we wrote them back. And they did then wrote officially again, saying that this was cybercrime and forgery. So that was why I went there on Wednesday.
Okay. The Policy and Legal Advocacy Center says the invocation of criminal defamation, a charge, the claim routinely used to intimidate journalists and activists, underscores the urgent need for legal reform, that this is inconsistent with democratic principles and undermines press freedom. What's your sense of this statement coming from PLAC?
Well, it has been a lot of statements, but our position has been that there is no place for this Cybercrime Act, especially the Section 24, which has empowered the police to get involved in what are civil matters and criminalize them. And this is what has created, there's been a lot of victims as far as this is. This is my third cybercrime arrest, by the way. My 2019...
By the police or by other institutions?
The first one was DSS. Late Buhari accused me of cybercrime.
Late Buhari
yes.
or the police or DSS?
No, the DSS said Buhari reported to them that I was cyber stalking him in 2019. That was the second offense in addition to treasonable felony. So later, they took out the Cybercrime Act, part of the offense, when our lawyer, Femi Falana, let them know that Buhari would be required to come to court to prove how I cyber stalked him, considering that he has an ear infection at that time. So the second time was by, this is actually the fourth, was by Senator Nduwoko. He also accused me of cybercrime. I was arrested, detained briefly for that, and also charged. That one is still pending. And then the third one was in February, when this MIG got me arrested, detained me for 4 days, seized my passport, and charged me for cybercrime for calling him illegal IG. This is the fourth time I've been charged for a cybercrime in this country since 2019.
Interesting.
Yes.
With all this, I can't help but ask you before I let you go. You've been consistent. I think I can use that word. Will this slow you down? Will this in any way cause you to change tactics?
No,
or will it continue to provoke you to continue with your activism?
No, my activism is not an activism that's rooted in provocation. It's rooted in conviction. So nobody can provoke me to act. As a matter of fact, I want to use this opportunity to invite people to another protest tomorrow on behalf of the youth corps lady who was denied of discharge certificate.
Well, from what I read, she's not the only one.
Well, she's the only one who spoke up against the president who was denied of her certificate. So we have a clear nexus between what she said and her punishment. So, and the people who said she didn't do 1 month clearance, she had been able to make a case that she went there to do the clearance, but they refused her. So I'm back to work. I couldn't wait to go back to work. And after I'm done tomorrow, who knows what will happen? So nothing can slow me. This is probably my 20th arrest by the Nigerian Police. I can't count how many times I've been arrested by the DSS. I've been detained before by the Nigerian Air Force in Yola when I did my NYC as well. So I've been through a lot of this before. So this can't slow me down. This is, like I said, my activism is rooted in conviction, not provocation. I don't worry about it because I know that all of this is a passing phase. Just like the Buhari regime was a passing phase, this is also a passing phase for all of us.
Passing phase, we'll leave it there on that note. Publisher of Sahara Reporters and Revolution Now convener Omoyele Sowore, thank you for joining us on Arise Prime Time to tell your story.
Thank you for having me.